Nancy Cortez is in San Francisco. Clinton held a fundraiser there last night and will hold another one in Seattle today. Nancy, I want to talk about Michelle Obama. Boy, was she emotional when she denounced Donald Trump's comments about women without even mentioning his name. In fact, how much of an impact do you think this will have on the election? 25 days left now.
You know, I think it was something that really opened people's eyes, Rena, because first of all, nobody saw it coming. It wasn't telegraphed that she was going to give this powerful speech, and you can't fake something like your voice shaking as you talk. So it was clear that it was very personal to her. These weren't just words that were handed to her from some speechwriter, but she had an actual role in figuring out what she wanted to say. And she essentially threw her usual script that she takes on the road with her to talk about Hillary Clinton away. And talked solely about Donald Trump, and not just his actions and what he's been accused of lately, but also his words and how even words can affect women's self-esteem and can affect the way that girls see themselves and the way that boys see women as they're learning how to be men. So this was a speech that was meant to reach out primarily to women, but also to men. She said, you know, the men I know don't speak like this, and the men I know don't need to talk like that to be seen as powerful. And so, you know, even Hillary Clinton on the campaign trail all day, you could see that she was moved by this and the speed with which the word of this speech spread, both on the internet and among Hillary Clinton supporters. And a couple of times yesterday, Hillary Clinton actually stopped and said to people, hey, if you haven't seen this speech, you need to go watch it, because clearly Michelle Obama, who is a non-politician, can make this case in a way that Hillary Clinton, who clearly has greater self-interest here, cannot.
That's a good point, Nancy. I want to ask you, though, as we heard in your piece, we learned from the latest batch of emails that were leaked that the Clinton campaign actually tried to get the Illinois primary moved to a different date. How is she explaining that? And is the campaign concerned that this plays right into Donald Trump's claim that the establishment is trying to rig the election?
You know, this is not unusual. Democrats and Republicans try to move up and move down primaries all the time. That's why there are now penalties in place that the parties try to impose so that states won't do that. But it is fascinating to be able to read about it and to read about the strategy in these emails 2 years practically before the primary took place. And to hear the Clinton campaign manager basically strategizing and saying, look, the time is of the essence. We need to get to the state legislature now and get them to try to do this, because otherwise the legislative calendar will get away from us. And he also went on to say in that email that he's not sure how much help Democrats in the state legislature will be, because they're a little bit miffed by the president of the United States, who's from Illinois, and feel neglected by him. So obviously these are the kinds of things that are embarrassing when they get out and may cause some tension with the White House, for example. But in the end, it appears that they were completely unsuccessful and that it didn't go anywhere, because the Illinois primary was, at the end of the day, in mid-March. And the strategy, which was to keep a moderate Republican from winning in Illinois, you know, it's funny to think about what they were worried about back in 2014. They were worried that Hillary Clinton would go up against a moderate Republican, someone like Jeb Bush, who they thought would be her biggest competition. And that's why they wanted to push the Illinois primary back. Well, at the end of the day, guess who won the Illinois primary? Donald Trump, and Ted Cruz came in second, so they didn't have to worry much about that.
They certainly didn't have to. Good point, Nancy. I want to also ask you, Clinton did an interview with Ellen DeGeneres. It's going to air today. We want to play you a little clip from that.
Because of the revelation of the public video and everything that came out on Access Hollywood, you know, he was really all wrought up, and you could just sense how much anger he had. And so he was really trying to dominate and then literally stalk me around the stage. And I would just feel this presence behind me. And I thought, whoa, this is really weird.
Yeah.
And so I was just trying to stay focused, to run against somebody and debate somebody who is consistently just spewing forth falsehoods. And when you catch him, when you say, no, wait a minute, you said this, you actually were on the record on this. No, I wasn't. No, I wasn't. And just hopes, I guess, that people will forget it.
It's debating like a teenager.
It's hard.
It really is.
It is hard.
It's like debating a teenager because it is whatever, he just says things and it's just like, you know, and then interrupts, makes me smarter. Like, you just, what?
So, Nancy, what's the strategy here? Going to some sort of a non-traditional outlet? Are we going to expect to see more of these kinds of interviews in the last go-round here?
The strategy here, and we saw President Obama do it in 2008, is that when you're ahead, you don't want to make any mistakes. So you open yourself up to mistakes and to unexpected questions when you do an interview with the press, with reporters who follow you on the campaign trail, or with anchors or with newspapers. And so what do? You go to a very friendly interviewer, someone like Ellen, someone you know is not going to ask you tough questions and is going to allow you to show your personality without getting into any real mines that you didn't want to step in. And so, you know, it's a great format for her. Ellen DeGeneres is a huge supporter of hers. She was supposed to actually tape that interview a couple of weeks ago, but had to cancel because of her pneumonia diagnosis. So, in a sense, she's making up for lost time. That's part of the reason we're out here on the West Coast right now. She had fundraisers to do, but she had that interview to do with Ellen as well. And I think, you know, you're seeing she did that spate of interviews with reporters and was coming back on the press plane quite a bit back in September. And now that her lead over Donald Trump has grown, we're not seeing her at the back of the plane quite as frequently as we did before.
But who doesn't love Ellen? It's hard not to cheer for Ellen. She's a lot of fun to watch. Nancy Cordes.
No question.
Our Nancy Cordes in San Francisco. Nancy, thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.